Gannon here, back with another Star Trek review, and I'm going to be coming out with another two-parter. I think I might just be doing like 2-in-1s for the rest of Star Trek Lower Decks, unless there's like an uneven amount and I just need to do one alone for the final episode of the season. I don't know if there's going to be anything significant from a story perspective, or if this is really just like an adult comedy show, and a lot of the things that happen in the show don't really carry over from episode to episode, so I don't even know if the last episode is going to be anything significant. And also, I'm not entirely too passionate about Star Trek Lower Decks. Evidently, it's an adult cartoon, it's like a fan service, reference-y type beat. The characters in the show, and everything that is in it doesn't make me too passionate about it, because in my core I am a Trek fan, and I either want them to expand like the core universe, like with stuff like Star Trek Discovery, or like the older shows, or I'm really just not super passionate or interested about it. But anyways, I'm going to be reviewing the 4th and 5th episode, I believe, which was Moist Vessel, and then also Cupid's Arrow. What was this called? Yeah, it was Cupid's Errant Arrow. So, Moist Vessel, let's actually start off with Moist Vessel. Moist Vessel was, I mean, it was alright. It was, like, nothing great. The things that I really enjoyed about Moist Vessel was basically Mariner's interaction with the senior staff, and then also Mariner's interaction with Captain Freeman. That little wholesome family moment there, and then also the senior staff are always hilarious. Were there that many references in this episode? I don't think there were hardly any. I think they were actually more focusing on just, like, character-wise and, Captain Freeman and Ensign Mariner's relationship. In Moist Vessel, basically Captain Freeman becomes obsessed with getting Mariner off the ship because she behaves horribly around higher-ranking Starfleet officers. When she starts yawning in front of Captain Durango, and then also, like, in front of the Admiral, that's what led me to believe that this shit, like, really can't be in, like, the main Star Trek universe. Like, this, to me, has gotta be its, like, whole other thing. A lot of people are like, oh, well, in Starfleet, because there's some of the characters, they actually, like, steal things. They actually, even, Tendi and Rutherford steal something in the next episode, but they were, like, stealing, and I saw some people bitching about, like, that, like, stealing isn't Starfleet, like, swearing isn't Starfleet, and all this stuff. As far as any of those things go, we could really only hold certain characters liable to those actions, right? Like, we can only hold somebody like Picard, or maybe, like, really good Starfleet captains up to those standards, because, and even not even that, because there are plenty of Starfleet captains in the Star Trek series who just behave like total immoral assholes. But the moment she starts fucking yawning in front of these people who are clearly higher on the chain of command, that was the point where I was like, dude, this can't happen in any way, shape, or form in the Star Trek universe. Like, Starfleet is an organization that has, like, an extreme integrity. They take their job very seriously. Nobody could get away with this shit. Like, she would just be kicked out of Starfleet immediately if she behaved like this. So that was the point where it's like, okay, I get it's trying to be funny, but that just makes me believe that this really isn't in the Star Trek universe that we, like, know and love. There was a huge disconnect right there. Moist Vessel was, it was a nice, kind of fun episode. They are transporting the Century ship over with the assistance of Captain Durango, and Captain Durango also was flying a California-class ship, which is the class that the Cerritos is, and immediately people were, like, bitching, like, can we please see some new ship designs? Can we please see something? It's just like Picard, it's all the same fucking ship design. And I was sitting here like, okay guys, can you fucking relax? Like, this is a pretty early episode, so can you guys just stop bitching? I mean, okay, I think it's kind of appropriate for a sister ship. I don't remember what Durango's ship was named, but I think it's perfectly appropriate for a sister ship to show up in an early episode. I think that is what happened in the Next Gen with the USS Yamato, and then in Discovery, if you remember, the sister ship to the Discovery, the other Crossfield class, showed up really early in the series. So I found that that was kind of appropriate. because in the next episode, Cupid's Errant Arrow, we actually do get a new class of starship. So, like, just the next episode after that. So, if only these people could just, unring their panties and stop getting them in a twist and just maybe wait another week or something. They were really quick to bitch about seeing another California-class vessel. So, yeah, Moist Vessel is getting a definite 4 from me. Just, like, average. The only little bits of joy I got out of it was Captain Freeman's interaction with Mariner, as I've already said before, in the senior staff. So, is there really much more to say about Moist Vessel? Oh, yeah, and then there was that whole subplot with Tendi trying to help the Ascension guy. That was just fucking lame. Didn't really care. Doesn't relate to me at all. The Ascension thing isn't really something that's referenced in Star Trek before, but I get there are a bunch of people who are, like, energy beings and everything, so the Ascension stuff was kind of, like, lame. It wasn't that interesting. The only funny part was maybe at the end when that dude was burning alive. So, yep, quickly, that was just a quick review of Moist Vessel, because I actually watched Moist Vessel, and I was just like, that was kind of my reaction. I didn't get any, whoa, or hey, out of Moist Vessel. So, Moist Vessel's getting a 4 out of 10. Sorry if you weren't totally pleased with that review, but Moist Vessel just didn't do much for me. And there isn't even that many Star Trek references to talk about. I think a lot of people mentioned how this one wasn't relying too much on fan service. But we get to the next episode, and it's like, guys, it's like, finally some good fucking lore. We got a new class of ship in this episode. The USS Van fucking Coover, which is a Parliament class ship, which is like the next ship up above the California class. So it's possibly like, what was it? Like, there was the Galaxy class, and then there was the Nebula class below it, I think. I think that's kind of the beat that they're going off. But the USS Vancouver is the jock ship. This is like the epic ship, kind of Enterprise-like, where they go off and they do really exciting missions and everything. And they were talking about that on the show. They referenced it. They were kind of almost parroting, like, the Enterprise in that way. Like, oh, we go back in time, we do all this fun shit. But the USS Vancouver is a Parliament-class ship. Vancouver is actually, like, the home base of the people who animated this show. So that could probably is a reference to why they referred to the USS Vancouver as such. And then also, I read that in the show, you could see that in the mess hall, they were serving Canadian dishes above the Vancouver, which is pretty cool. We got to see a new class of ship in this episode. Basically, what this episode was about is that Boimler got himself a really hot, attractive girlfriend, and she serves aboard the Vancouver, and Mariner is just like, holy shit, like, there's no way this could be legit. Like, how could somebody as hot and successful and as cool as this girl fall for somebody as lame as Boimler? And the whole entire episode, she's just very, very, very paranoid that, I think her name's like Barbara? I think her name's like Barb. I don't exactly remember. But she's trying to find out whether Boimler's girlfriend is an alien or just basically somebody in disguise. Because there are so many ways in the Star Trek universe for you to disguise yourself as another person. Plenty of life forms have the ability to shapeshift. We got that scene, which was seen in the trailer of Mariner in front of her conspiracy board, which had a hell of a lot of references. It references the creature from the first episode of Star Trek, the first real episode, not including the pilot episodes. The man trap, like the salt-sucking monster, had the Duras sisters on it. Bunch of really cool references. And then we got to see fucking Deep Space Nine, which, you know, obviously is going to make my cock tingle a little bit, because Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek series. I am very close. I'm on the last season of my rewatch of The Next Gen, and I am so fucking excited to rewatch and re-experience Deep Space Nine, because it's been a while. I forgot the nuances, the details, so it's going to be like watching the series all over again, and I just can't. I'm absolutely thrilled. I'll be able to spot more details and just come up with a bunch of video ideas. I feel like I got a bunch of video ideas in my head from the rewatch of The Next Generation. But anyways, we see Mariner in a flashback aboard, let's see what it was. I think it was, yes, it was the Quito, which is a Olympic-class ship, which is actually the same class ship that Beverly Crusher commanded in that, I think it was like the fucking, it was the alternate timeline two-parter. I think it was the last episode, the last couple episodes of the Next Gen, where they go to an alternate timeline in the future, and she's in the command of the USS Pasteur, which is also an Olympic-class ship. Now, in that alternate timeline, the Olympic-class ship could go something crazy like Warp 13. So it's cool to see the Olympic-class ship in, like, the main timeline over here at Deep Space Nine. But, and then, you know, they're wearing the Nemesis outfits. And I read into this, and they actually kind of made a mistake here, because she goes over to her, like, crewmate, and she's like, oh, did you hear that Data's brother Lore is working with the Borg? And Data's, you know, brother working with the Borg is time-stamped to be, like, 4 years prior to this conversation being held, unless, okay, because the only indicator that this is, like, the timestamp is that they're wearing the first contact uniforms. Yeah, so it's possible that during the time that Descent was going on, which is, like, that was the two-parter that it was from, that maybe the USS Quito was just one of the early birds to get those uniforms, and that, you know, the Enterprise just didn't have them yet, which doesn't really add up. I honestly just think they made a little bit of a timeline mistake there. Either that, or news really travels fucking slowly. Like, really slowly. But yeah, no, that was really, really cool. Finally, some fucking lore, seeing some new and original ships. And, I mean, I kind of said at the beginning of this video that I feel like this doesn't even go on in like, the main Star Trek universe. To me, personally, like, headcanon-wise. So I don't even know if this really matters that much anymore. Boimler was holding a bear in this episode that had Geordi LaForge's visor. Geordi LaForge was always kind of shit at dating, so perhaps that was kind of foreshadowing what was going on. Ooh, there was this guy in this episode named Jet, and I think Boimler said that he was like Kirk Sprinkles with a side of Trip Tucker or something. And I was just really happy that they referenced Trip Tucker from Enterprise, because Enterprise is great. Weirdly, a lot of the Star Trek boomers do not like Enterprise. I think Star Trek Enterprise is top 3. Like, I think Star Trek Enterprise is so fucking good how they built off of the lore of, like, Star Trek, and they made a prequel to it, and they actually did, like, a good job with a really awesome and likable cast. And it's one of the biggest grievances I have with the Star Trek franchise is that we didn't get 7 seasons out of it, but we did get 4 seasons. And the only Weird Champ thing they did... Huge spoilers, by the way, right now, if you have not seen Star Trek Enterprise. Huge spoilers! In the final episode, Trip Tucker actually dies for, like, no fucking reason. Just as, like, a little bit of a oomph to the heart of the viewers. And I think it was a little bit unfair to his character. Because his sister was murdered earlier in the series by the Xindi, and then he just goes off and gets himself killed. And I really would have like to see a better legacy for the chief engineer of the first Enterprise, the NX-01. And that's one of my biggest grievances with Star Trek, but Star Trek Enterprise was absolutely great and brilliant. At the end of this episode, they find out that Boimler had the space parasite on him all along, and that Barb was being attracted because of the pheromones and, like, whatever the space parasite was giving off, and that is why she had a crush on Boimler. And then there was that whole subplot. You kind of have, like, what's going on with Mariner and Boimler most of the time, and then it's Tendi and Rutherford. It's, like, so far, quote me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's just been the Boimler and Mariner show, and then the Tendi and Rutherford show. And, like, and then they kind of meet up, and they have these little interaction scenes once in a while, but that's really how it is. And they were just over on the Vancouver doing their best job possible to get their hands on the new scanners, like the Type 88 scanners, and in doing so, they accidentally got themselves almost transferred to the Vancouver, but they had to literally fight, like, the chief engineer of the Vancouver in order to, like, not do that. They had to straight up blackmail him and everything, which I thought was funny when Rutherford said that he was recording everything on his visor, because that dude actually just has cheat codes in the form of cybernetics and, like, his cyber enhancements. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed that episode a lot better, even though they did kind of make a timeline mistake, which doesn't make the reference, like, as, you know, like, finger-licking worthy. I'm gonna give this episode, in comparison to all the other ones, we're gonna give it a 6. It earned itself a 6. I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed what happened. There was a couple times where I even laughed. The, Cupid's errant arrow, or whatever it's called, gets a 6 from the Gannon man. Anyways, yep, so episode 4, Moist Vessel, gets a 4. And episode 5, Cupid's errant arrow, gets a 6 from me. If you guys have anything you would like to share, anything you would like to discuss about these episodes, how you're feeling about Star Trek Lower Decks, please leave it down in the comments below. I would be very interested to hear. If you're enjoying the content that you see on the channel, please slap a like on it. With that, I'm gonna have to see you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.